What is up? I'm Zoe Zwilling, and in this video we are talking MTB with my really good friend Alex. Alex is from France. He has played and coached in a whole bunch of different countries. He has a lot of cool, unique basketball experience, and now he's here in Australia where he started and runs his own coaching business. You might know him from Hoop School. He is seriously one of my favorite people to talk to about basketball. He just knows the game super well and is extremely passionate and knowledgeable about it, which is why this video ends up going 3 times longer than I had anticipated. And I'm very excited to do this with Coach Alex. I think he'll come on for a few more videos too, probably, because he just has a lot of wisdom to share that I think any young basketball player, any young athlete could learn a lot from. And in this, we'll talk about his journey through basketball, challenges and lessons that he's learned along the way. And of course, at the end, we talk about his favorite players and just general gems of wisdom that I think would be valuable for any young athlete to hear. So enough of me, let's just go to the conversation. Try to keep it under like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Take one. So you want to tell us your name and where you're from?
Hey, my name is Alex Portelli. I'm from the southwest of France, a little town called Toulouse.
See, I couldn't have even said all of that. When/how did you start playing basketball?
I started playing very unofficially when I was 8 years old, I reckon, through my school. My school had hoops. I never played before. I saw some older kids play. Then I realized that some of them had NBA things that I'd never seen before. Love the graphics. Love the fact that you had to put a little item in a big item. As a kid, I was like, whoa, couldn't reach anything. They were like full size hoops. I just love the dancing element as well, and the fact that unlike soccer, which is probably the biggest sport in France, the ball was in your hand way more, right? You had way more control of the ball. You could play 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 5-on-5, full court. You could run, you could not run. It was a bit of, I guess, a bit of fun for everyone, you know. And also seeing a lot of girls play. It's pretty big in France, so seeing a lot of young girls play from a young age, I was like, wow, this is good, you know, this is good. And then I found a playground, an outdoor court, and it just blew me away. I saw like adults play street ball with music and all. I was like 9 years old, and I was just,
sounds like love at first sight.
oh, what is this? You know, like big guys dunking on each other, and like they had all the flashy thing. That was the 90s too, so like the fashion was all super baggy shorts, and you know, like shaved heads, and I was like, that was crazy. You know, I remember being really hit by that hard. So that was really my first introduction through school and through street ball. And then in France, we have a club system, which is quite different than here, where in every Wednesday afternoon, there's no school in France, right? So Wednesday is half day, and Wednesday afternoon is always dedicated to sports. So, or any activity you want to do, actually. So it's your free time during the week to do anything you want. So clubs organize what they call basketball school. So you can be 5-year-old, 6 years old, 7 years old. It's either free or heavily subsidized by your local state. And you go and spend 3-4 hours of training. And it's all super fun. You're 5, 6 years old. They made you play games. The hoops are low, you know, they give you those little size 5 or size 3 balls to play with. Lots of young players, I guess, young adult players are looking after you. So my parents put me into one of the big clubs that are near where I grew up, and same, that just completely blew my mind. The fact that I did that for 2 years, the second year, and I only realized that years after, but the old guy who was coaching us, the guy in charge, was a coach who had coached at professional level overseas. So he had stopped coaching at that level and was dedicating all his time to coaching young kids. So thinking back to that time, right? He had 8, 9 years old doing left-hand layups on little hoops, putting the ball to your legs, like putting the ball behind your back, but turning it into such a fun experience that everyone loved it. And as a result, the year after, I signed up for the rep program, or the equivalent to the rep program, and rep, or the equivalent to rep in France, is a bit different. You only have 2 or 3 teams per club. So it was a young under 12 or under 11 as it was back then. And that's where it all started. I made a team and made the second team as a starter. And then during the season in France, you're not locked into a team. So they moved me up to the first team. I was bigger than everyone else. Hard to believe, but I was bigger than everyone else.
I was going to say that.
I know, right? I was a big guy, could jump. I think I was taking all the rebounds. I was raw as, but yeah, I was lucky to have like coaches who identified a couple of things and were like, okay, I'm gonna push you a bit harder, and that was it. That was it.
This sounds like a whole love at first sight story.
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, I've always been interested in ball sports way more than anything involving equipment like a racket or a bat. Like played a bunch of soccer, but played a bunch of rugby as well, but never really loved it. The basketball was just, I don't know, it just hit the right spot in many ways. It's only really years after that. That's right. I guess it's the fact that, as I said before, that you can play. You just need a hoop, and you just need one other player to actually be competitive. And then there's a whole level of like the whole cathartic element that comes with it when you go and hang out by yourself at a court and shoot around for like an hour. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. You football people, you know what I mean.
I was about to say, we could sit and have this conversation about all the great things about basketball for its own hour. You know what I mean?
That's right. It's I mean, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but for a lot of people, including me, it's a safe space, man. Like I go there, and I remember like many times during my life when there were hardships in my personal life, and there's never anything wrong on the court. Never anything wrong on the court. You leave everything outside of that white line, you get in, like you spend an hour, 2 hours shooting by yourself. Not only you get better, but you clear your head. That's it. Feel good.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. The cathartic element of basketball. That's one of the things I try to encourage the kids to do. Like put your headphones in, go and shoot. Things are not great at home, go and shoot. You got a problem with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, go and shoot.
And a lot of the time, that's a lot better than some other alternative coping you might.
Exactly right. Exactly right. A lot of players who struggled during COVID. That was my message to them. Like we are allowed to go and shoot. We are allowed to go out and use facilities. Like okay, they took that down for a little bit, but most of the time they were up. We are allowed to use them. So make the most of that. There are countries in the world where they weren't allowed to get out for like 8-9 weeks, like in Spain, So imagine that fortunate situation. Go and shoot. Clear your head. Go and shoot.
True. It is. You don't gotta tell me. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
The headphones and shoot. That's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, I know. I've seen you doing that
all the time. Can you give me a rundown of all the places basketball has taken you, like physically and otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. So with playing, one of the good things about growing up and playing at a relatively good level in Europe, you get invited to all those like international tournaments, and it's like Spain. From where I grew up, Spain is 2 hours on the train. So team goes on the train, plays a high-end international tournament in Barcelona over a weekend. You stay with like a Spanish host. You stay with the player you're going to play against the next day.
That's weird.
So you make crazy connections. Oh. And you're like 12 years old, right? You end up in an apartment with like a whole family, and they feed you, and then you go and play the next day, and it's absolutely amazing. So as a player, I went to Spain. As a junior, Italy, Germany. I went to Croatia, Slovenia. That was mostly it. And every time you go to these international tournaments, they usually around Easter, you play against like the likes of FC Barcelona juniors or Real Madrid juniors, and it's mind blowing. You got to stop top prospects everywhere,
It
from
sounds
age
like
12.
American AAU, but little St.
That's
Louis
very
different.
yeah, exactly right. That's very similar, except that nobody speaks the same language.
Yeah, it'll be a little
And
different.
so, and I've got very fond memories of like being sitting in the stands waiting for my game, and chatting with like a German kid in like some kind of broken 11-year-old English. Like,
That's funny.
very good, very good. Yes,
Yeah.
very good. You know?
He's like high-fiving each other. Can't even talk.
Yeah, that's right. That's
That's
right.
funny.
And then
It's a little different.
yeah, no. So that like I went to a lot of places as a junior player. As a senior player, I played in France. I played in Ireland. As in clubs, I played a bit in Spain. I did a bunch of like summer sessions in the US as well. Going with some teammates and going to like camps and stuff like that. That was great. And as a coach, and I think that's where coaching has been an eye opener in the opportunity that it can get you even more as a player than a player. I find I went to China, Australia, obviously, um, France, Spain, Italy as well with camps. Like when I was playing in Ireland, part of my contract was to bring some junior teams to different countries for camps and experience. So I was coaching some under 14. Went to Sweden. I went to Vanuatu when I was in Australia and coached over there for a month, which was like crazy. Federation invited me. Oh yeah, it was insane. Kids playing like super high level kids playing with no shoes on concrete.
Yeah,
Like
different everywhere because
super
in
different.
California, that was not a thing I ever saw.
Super different. Like super athletic kids. They had one indoor venue that got demolished by a typhoon, never got fixed. So they were like, okay, we just play all our international games outdoors. So they had like the Pacific Games, with all the micro islands nations playing against each other, and some guys were playing sort of international basketball with no shoes on.
That's very interesting.
Oh, when you see that,
Maybe a little
it's like
different perspective for sure.
Absolutely. I always tell that stayed with me, and I always mention that to some of the kids. Like, yeah, your $300 LeBrons, they're good, but there are kids who work on the games every single day with no shoes on, and for them it doesn't make a difference. So your focus should be on your games, not on your gear, right?
True. Or just like whenever
Okay,
you're feeling entitled or ungrateful about something, it's like think about people in other countries having to play outside barefoot with their typhoon.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. I guess yeah, as you said, it's all about perspective, and it's one thing. And I know you are on the same boat. We try to push that message as well to all our players. Like it's bigger than just putting the ball in the hoop.
Right. I always saying that. As much of a basketball fanatic as I am, I'm always saying like at the end of the day, it's just a game where you're bouncing the ball around and throwing it into a ring.
Yeah. But I guess it's a conduit though. Like we use that as a vehicle to actually make some of the kids aware of like the bigger picture. And I find that as a parent of young kids myself, like I find that you get the message across way more when you use a vehicle for your sort of life lessons, than sitting down a kid and talking to him straight away, like the element of like understanding is completely different when it's taking the context of like sports and like I guess resilience or achievement. Like you work really hard towards something, or that's your life lesson here, rather than me telling you to do it.
100%. That's such a good way to put it. Like you can't just sit there and give them like a PowerPoint presentation about all these life lessons. It's like you have to experience it.
That's right. That's right. And I think as coaches also we have to, and I'm guilty of that quite often. I have to take a step back and realize that some of the junior kids, even the 17, 18 years old, they don't have all life experience. They don't have all perspective on things, you know. I have to step back and say, well, hold on a second. Yeah, I have to explain a couple of things that are not just linked to basketball as well, you know, like, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to remember what I don't want to say what an idiot I was when I was like teenager or younger, but
yeah.
comparison, yeah, I was kind of an idiot.
Yeah, of course. I think we all were, you know, we all were. And the last, and I think that's where as coaches we have such a big role to play because we don't really know what's going on at home,
Yeah,
you
right.
know. So for like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, how many times you see your players a week, you are responsible for, I don't know, as I said before, a little bit more than just basketball. You know,
100%.
you just put some good things in their life, whatever their life is. Then their life might be great, you know, but their life might not be so great. And some kids would share that, some kids would not. You just, yeah, I guess you're trying to make that little bit of a difference. You
There's a lot
know?
of levels to that.
Oh yeah, and having the vehicle to do
Okay.
that is great. No, no, go ahead.
What'd you say? I was just gonna go to
I think having, and this is where we're very fortunate, having a cool vehicle as basketball to use all that is just a godsend, like, you know. You know.
No, I could not agree more. So that kind of segues to one of my other questions is how did you go from playing and obviously kind of obsessively playing, competitively playing to coaching side of things?
um, well, I started coaching at a very young age. I actually started coaching when I was 13 or 14. So remember the basketball schools I was telling you about, the Wednesday kind of stuff? Well, I started getting involved as a young coach solely because my training was after, my rep training was after, and my parents could only drop me early because of their professional commitments. And also, you know, I have two brothers, so there was only so many things they could do. And at that time, there was probably a bit less of an emphasis on, like, I guess, you know, kids being left alone. Like, so
Oh yeah.
I could, you know, they could drop
They
me in
could
the
just
gym and
leave you.
yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, so they would drop me at the gym, and I was just hanging there, trying to get some shots on the hoops on the side while the little kids were training. Until, well, that coach again told me, well, how about you look after that group of 8 years old? And I was terrified. I was like, I'm going to do with them. Like, just what you were doing by yourself. Go and dribble and shoot with them. And I started doing that. And I remember I was like 13 years old and having these little kids looking up to you and listening and being like, you know, like trying to do what you're doing. That was just it for me. I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome, you know?
It's funny when they're 8 years old and you're 13, 14, they look at you like a whole adult. Like they think you're
Oh
a
yeah,
grown adult with your life together.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. And then they were like, oh, I shoot a 3-pointer. And I shot a three and
Yeah.
they were like, wow, you know, look at him.
That's the
The best
best,
guy in
isn't
the
it?
world. But the good thing is, like, you know, like eventually you make that connection and they show up to your games, you know? They show up to your games, you know? They come on Saturday, like rep in or basketball in general in France is played on over the weekend, you know, none of that Friday night stuff. So so you know, the kids will come up and, you know, like they start, and you start getting a little bit of you know, a little bit of a profile in your own club, you
You
know,
got a
which
little
is great.
fan base.
Oh, it's awesome when you're 13, 14 years old, you know, like they give you a high five after your game. That's
True.
awesome. So yeah, it all started from there. And then as I started playing at a higher level, I started getting more focused into team coaching. So working as a young assistant coach for some under 12, some under 14s, you know, until at 18 or 19 years old, I think I started taking teams on my own. Those coaches, the senior coaches are like, oh, you're ready. You go and get that. And that was great. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, you know.
Cool.
And this is where I started getting my philosophy in place. Yeah, I've got very fond memories of all that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're the same as me, but I feel like on the coaching side of things, especially, it's a lot of like figuring things out as you go. Like,
Absolutely.
I still am learning a ton of stuff and learning philosophies and what to do with the kiddos, just from
Absolutely.
experience.
Absolutely. And there's you learn a lot about yourself when you coach. You learn so much about yourself because you have to deal with your own emotions. You have to deal with your, hey, you might have had a shit day before and you still have to go and train and put some good energy in that training, you know? So you have to learn how to manage that. I mean, I know that coaching for me has been such a major help in my ability to manage my emotions and also my ability to, I guess, get a message across, the same message across in different ways so that everyone involved in my training can get it. Because not every kid is the same. One might be more of a visual learner, one might be more of I guess an auditive learner, one might be more of a non-learner at all, and you have to like get at him until he gets it, you know?
Yeah, some kids you just gotta say it 20 times.
Yeah, or you gotta show them, or you gotta get them to demonstrate it themselves so that they can get it, you know, like the kinetic memory and all that. I mean, it's fascinating from a point of view. I always joke with some parents who ask me, oh, how do you do it? I'm like, well, I'm just gonna write that kids psychology book and then charge you 80 bucks.
You could, you absolutely
for, you know, psychoanalysis lessons, and that's it. But yeah, I think I'm learning so much about myself, about how to, I guess, manage many situations, and I think, and also probably trying to maintain frustration levels as low as possible. You know, you're in the heat of a game and the ref makes a bad call, or the other coach is doing something you find a bit sus, like you managing that, because behind you there's like 10 kids on that bench, or 5 kids on the bench, 5 kids on the court, and they just feed off your energy. So if you start acting like excuse my French, an asshole, you know, like what message is that sent to these kids, you know?
right.
You know, yell on the ref. No, we don't do that. You know,
Right.
yell at other kids.
Remember that they're looking to you and learning.
Exactly right. Exactly right. For the time of the training, the time of the game, you're their role model. You're the adult who's in charge, you know? All their eyes are on you. If you bring a bad vibe to training, if you start berating them for no reason, if you yell at the ref, yell at the other coaches, if you let, like, when you see even that at professional level, if you see like a bad seed at the start of your season grow and grow and you don't do anything about it, you know, that's it. Culture is gone. That's what it is. It's all about that culture, you know?
Yeah, you know, I'm such a nerd about the sports psychology and culture side of things. I love all that.
That the top programs in the world, they're based around culture.
True.
You know?
It's very underrated, I feel.
Oh yeah.
We get wrapped up in just like make it happen, or the X's and O's and the numbers, but it's like all of the other psychology behind it is, to me, it's more important.
I think that's what makes a difference past a certain level, you know, like you get, I mean, look at the NBA and WNBA, you get to a level where the top maybe 30 or 40 players, they're all on the same level. They're all on the same level. What makes a difference? It's their mindset and the culture they are willing to buy into, you know, and that culture, if it's fostered by the right people at club level or at team level, well, that's it. I mean, look at the run the Warriors had. They had fantastic players, but I'm sure you put Steph Curry in a different club, he might still drop 30 a game, but
they're
is he
really
going to be?
Team.
Yeah, that's right. We had you have coaches who, like Steve Kerr and like Mark Jackson before him, who went against the trend at the time, which is still the trend of like running high pick and rolls and letting one player dictate everything. Like it was all 5 players on the court, 5 players get involved. it's all cut and back cuts and like off ball screens and all that. No one is doing that in the league. And as a result, you've got the guys who are like, 8s or 7s on the bench who accept to do that because they know they're going to get touches. They know it's not just looking at James Harden dribbling 20 seconds in a corner and like do his little jab fake and a step back three, So a great mind like Steve Kerr or Greg Popovich is the same. There are two coaches who I really, really, really respect, and not only with their, sporting achievement, but how they can get egos and just get them to play together.
Yeah, and that's part of that mindset part.
Yeah, that's right. The culture and mindset,
Yeah. I could talk all day about how they play in the NBA, but we won't even go there. ISO ball and all that mess.
Oh yeah, it's the bad thing. It's filtering to junior basketball everywhere in the world.
I think we've talked about this before. The thing that always gets me with that is like kids see the end result of it, like they see Steph being Steph or like Damian Lillard doing these crazy things, and they want to do that, but they have no interest in the behind the scenes, like how Steph prepares to be Steph, because that is a whole world of discipline and work ethic that like Absolutely. The kids who are pulling up from half court have no interest in. And I'm like, it's just a rare few that get it,
Absolutely. And it's not just the kids. There are a lot of parents like that too. And a lot of adult players too,
Oh, I know. I see them.
But it's I guess that's also it's not just the fault of the viewer, it's also the NBA who's pushing that instant highlights, I guess, culture where, and I'll talk about that a bit later in one of the other questions, but, why would you watch a full game when you can have like a 10 minutes or even 7 minutes highlight when you only see the scores?
And then you start thinking that's how it really went, and it's absolutely not.
Like it's I think it's that, and that I think that highlight culture is a bit of an issue somehow. It's creating a completely skewed view of sport. It's not just basketball. I've got a very good friend who's a very high-end soccer trainer, and same thing with soccer.
Mm.
Players don't watch full games. They just watch condensed highlights or condensed summaries.
Yeah, and I think talking about all the coaching and stuff, like that is something that you can bring to your players' attention and tell them, like, if you seriously want to be a player, like, sit down and watch a game from jump to final buzzer. You know what I mean? Understand the flow of the game. Oh, sorry.
Hey.
Hi, sorry.
No, that's all right. I don't know if it was...
My building had a planned power outage, but I forgot that would also turn off my Wi-Fi. I was like, it's fine because I'm on a laptop.
Oh, yeah.
What were we saying? The highlight culture.
Yeah.
As your job as a coach, you can kind of make them aware of that stuff too, not just trying to be a highlight player.
That's right. And also the, I guess the distractions that take them away from like what the player is actually doing. And I see that with like all the sort of teenagers that train who are all on Instagram, and they all follow players. They like pictures of players coming out of the bus all dressed up, and they see that, and they put as much, I guess, attention to that than probably even more than videos of them training, if you know what I mean. So the distraction, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And once again, it's all like sort of the marketing aspect of it, like, hey, if you want to be as good as this guy, you need to be dressing up like him, and you need to be looking as cool as him, and you need those shoes,
But really, you need to be getting into the gym and doing his workout.
Well, that's right, and this is what you don't, and that completely ties up to what you were saying. We don't really see that. We don't really see like videos of, I don't know, like Tyler Hero at 6 a.m. in the gym for 3 hours. We don't really see that, but we see him posing with his new haircut.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
I guess I guess it's a, I don't know, it's it's a challenge for that generation of young players who are coming up with full access um, to technology, because it's hard for them to dissociate. Putting
Yeah.
myself in their shoes, it's hard for them to dissociate. What's the real basketball there?
Yeah, it's a
What's
different world for sure with all
you
that
know?
stuff. What brought you to Australia? Slash, did you
Um,
pick Australia to stay?
it's very funny. I had no interest in Australia at all. Sorry, Australia.
Honest.
Solely because A, I didn't know there was such a big basketball scene here for a start, and B, the image that's being sort of portrayed and sold in Europe of what Australia is completely different than the reality. Like, we are being told that everyone is blonde with long hair, men and women, and surf all day, every day.
Yep.
That's
Fair.
that, as cliche as it sounds, right? But that's what that's what we're getting, you know. So that's not exactly my scene, all those things. So, but I was playing in Ireland, and I was sort of finishing finishing my career. My body was like giving me strong signs of like, training every day is probably not for you anymore. So I was like, okay, maybe I need a bit of a change of scenery. And I was in a relationship at the time with a girl who was quite younger than me, who hadn't done her traveling yet. So she decided to go to Australia. My first instinct was like, this is a great opportunity for you. You go for it. You go and live your life, you know. And she got there for maybe 2 months, and we stayed in touch. And she was like, "Oh, maybe you should come here, and we can live it together, and you might enjoy it, you know." So I took a holiday, you know, went on a holiday visa for 3 months, came down here. That was nearly 10 years ago now, and
Time flies.
I know it's crazy. Things didn't really work out with this girl, but very shortly after my arrival, I got involved in basketball, got offered a coaching gig, got involved in like the sort of streetball pickup scene, and got offered a visa to coach, and met someone else who is now the mother of my children. So from a decision made one night walking, it completely changed my whole life.
Oh,
Um, there's very I mean, very often I think about all that, and I think about how things took a very fortunate turn for me at the stage of my life where I didn't really know which way to go and what to do. So that's something I've been really grateful for, and I'm very grateful to call Australia my home now. It's a beautiful place. Basketball is only getting stronger. You know, I'm met so many good people here. Um, and you know, opportunities have been incredible. um, I mean, I'm running my own basketball programs, which is something I would have never really thought possible ever, you know.
really?
So I think,
It's funny
yeah,
because I
yeah,
met you after you started all that, and I'm like, oh, obviously, like he's meant to be doing this.
yeah, thank you. But it's, you know, like, it's only when things unravel that you take those opportunities, right? But I never really think I would be able to do something like that. So I think moving here gave me the strength and the mental sort of, I guess, self-confidence to do something like that too, you know.
Yeah, true.
um, and you know, through that I met you, I met some incredible coaches, people who have the same basketball mind, people I know I can talk freely about uh, basketball and everything that goes around it, you know. And for that, as I said, I'm just extremely grateful, you know. It's been an incredible journey.
Sounds like it was just all meant to be through the game.
Yeah, yeah, somehow,
So cool.
somehow, somehow. And you know, like I've had some some people really helping me along the way in Australia. Some of whom have grown very close to me. Like some families of players who are coached right at the start, who are still involved in my programs 10 years later. Who I consider more like family nearly.
Yeah, those kind of connections are some of the best.
It's pretty incredible. So yeah, it's been a good decision.
On that note, what
Yeah.
is your favorite thing or one of your favorite things about coaching?
I can give you three. All right, and
I assume you have like 100, but
yeah, I've got a lot. I had to shorten them, and interestingly, they have nothing to do with the progress of the players. They are more based about I guess, them as person, as human beings. I guess the first thing, and that's something that really touches me every time that happens, is when I'm out doing something completely basketball unrelated, or when I'm at a red venue and there are hundreds of kids, because there are games on like 9 or 10 courts at the same time, and I feel a hand on my shoulder, and I turned and I see the kids I haven't trained in like 3 or 4 years coming all around to court to shake my hand and say, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Wow, you're taller than me."
right. Especially with the boys.
I know, and girls too. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm playing for this club now." I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome. Maybe have a chat," and the parents are there. And this is one of my favorite things about coaching. Like having people you've been a part of their life for 3 weeks, 1 year, 5 years, 6 years, and then life goes on for everyone. We go separate ways, and then you meet them in a complete different, unexpected environment, and they come and reach out to you and say hello and ask about how you are and what's going on. And this is, for me, this is like as meaningful as you can get.
That's a great answer. You see how much you impact them when the influence you have.
That's right. And the respect, the respect of them getting out of their way to come in and just say hola, like what's going on. This is invaluable for me.
I love that.
There's another thing. It's when they come to training, and I'm talking teams or individual, and they come to training with a big smile on their face, because they know that for 1 hour they're going to be the center of attention, and they're going to be there's not going to be any shit, they're going to be held accountable, they're going to be working hard, there's not going to be any shortcuts to anything, and they're enjoying that. They're like looking forward to it. This is probably on par with that, because that means that once again you created culture. You created that, hey, we're going to train for 2 hours. It's going to be hard, but you're going to love it.
I love it. It's like this simple human connection things.
That's right. You, I'm going to give you all the tools you need. It's up to you to take them, but come with that mindset. Come ready. As I was telling you earlier when we were texting, be prepared, be prepared mentally, and have the attitude that's going to allow you to make the most of those sessions. And I'm talking about, any age, any level. The kids come to training, and the parents or even the kids themselves, like, man, I've been looking for that since last week. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Especially when it's like a hard working thing, and they, it's not going to be an easy breezy, sit around and have tea. We're about to work our ass off, and they're still looking.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. On par with, I've got kids. I can only, and when I say kids, it's players in general. It's kids because they're younger than me, but some of them are young adults. But I can only see them once a week because of family commitments and stuff, and they want to train. all the time, and it breaks my heart. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can do that. I've got to mind my own kids today, and they understand of that. But they're like, hey, can we train tomorrow? And I'm like, no, I've got other players tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
that thing that just I found that so humbling somehow. They just
Mm,
want to spend all that time with me. They're looking forward to it, and they just want it. It's great. It's
that is
great.
great.
That's great.
Was there
And
one more thing you love
oh,
about
there's one
basketball?
more, one quick one. It's when players are trained who want to become coaches. That's like
That's a good
that's
one.
like a massive tick for me. They're like, hey, can I coach at your camps? Or do you know any little teams who want coaches? Because I really want to get started on coaching. And I'm like, I always ask them, oh, why? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I just want to teach kids. Right. Oh yeah. And it is something I always encourage for many reasons. The first one, as we mentioned before, you learn about yourself as a person when you have to manage younger players than you, and teach them. And the second thing, and I always tell that to like the teenagers who are trying to get into coaching, you're gonna learn so much more about the game of basketball because you have to break everything down at a granular level. The
Very
things
true.
you're taking for granted, a layup. All right, go and teach a layup to 6 years old. See how they get it.
It's very
You
true.
know, you have to really like break everything down to a simple level, and then that's gonna stay in your head. So when you go and practice yourself, you're gonna apply those little rules that you set up for your kids, and it's gonna help everything. I know that really did for me. That really helped me out.
I found that a lot too. You just see things from like different perspective, and you're the one who has to decide and think about everything. Like I have to give you plays and give you feedback and conduct practice. It's like you just whereas when you're a player, you just kind of show up and do it. It's just a lot
That's right.
more thinking.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's an element of preparedness, preparation, and research that comes with it. With for young minds, it's phenomenal. Like there's a couple of like young girls who are placed in some of the local play ball teams, the domestic teams. And for the first month, they have to send me their training plans. I'm like, yeah, no, you have to send me your training plans. I just want to make sure you're doing the right thing. I'm not telling them what to do. I'm like, just training plans for 1 hour, and it's great. They send me a little picture of a notepad like that. Click.
Nice.
Is this okay? I'm like, yeah, it's great.
I like that. Just get them
I
thinking.
don't even really check. Oh yeah, I don't even really check the content. I just want to make sure they're ready. I just
Yeah.
want to put them on the habit of being prepared. Don't just show up to the training without any idea. It's not just babysitting. You
Yeah,
gotta
that's a great point.
you gotta teach your kids. Teach your kids.
I like that. Can you tell me about a challenge or adversity that you've dealt with in your time through basketball, either playing or coaching?
Um, there's been a bunch of things. Um, they're not uh, they're not really super happy memories. One of the I guess the one that's the most personal was in 2002. I lost my younger brother. Was also a basketball player. He got sick and he never really recovered. And we're talking about the power of like basketball as a cathartic tool.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that coping could have gone in many different ways, like coping mechanisms, right? Well, my coach at the time said, come and train, all right? Stick to training. You don't have to play games, come and train. Um, I guess that was probably 3 or 4 days after he passed away. I was on court. And I just changed everything. Like for as we said before, for 2 hours, I only had one focus.
Mm.
And teammates, coach, They high-fived me, gave me a hug, and that was it. We didn't make any fuss about anything. Just went to work, you know. So that gave me probably an even greater respect and an even different sense of perspective on how sport in general and basketball in particular had that element of human connection that is hard to find anywhere else, you know.
Yeah, when you got a team like that
That's
and a
right.
coach like that.
I think, and culture, once again, culture. That coach at that time, I was 22 and 21 and playing like in at pretty good level for that age group, you know. And we, our coach was like very much like this. Was like, you know, we're with you, you know, we're with you, and they were. Everybody eased a lot of that process, you know. Yeah.
That's a good one. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
I've had similar experiences on teams where it's funny, like those really extreme things can sort of, they're tougher obviously, but they're also like more revealing. Like I've been on teams where there was a death or something like that, and you know, it can really bring the team together. Like we sit in the huddle after practice and just talk about shit, and you see different sides of people and being there for them. And then the thing with basketball is like the game don't really care. Like it's always there.
That's
You're
exactly
able to go
right.
train and have that outlet still.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I've got another example of that when I was playing in Ireland. The president of the club was involved in a lot of social programs. Okay, so helping homeless people through basketball, or helping like young refugees, or like women who were sort of trying to get away from abusive domestic relationships, you know. So I was involved. They asked who wanted to be involved in that, so I volunteered to look after some of the younger players, and that was great, you know. And I guess one of the biggest challenge was I had a bunch of I think they were 14 years old, coming from completely different backgrounds, and I had a bunch of kids from Eastern Europe, a bunch of kids from Africa, and there was visceral hate between them.
Interesting.
I'm talking full blown racism, like, and that had been ingrained because those kids, they were kids from like both ethnic groups that had never lived anywhere else than their respective countries, right? And then war broke out, so they moved to different place, safe haven, all right? So in that case, Ireland decided to play basketball. I'm the coach. First training, fight breaks out. Like 10 minutes into training, you know, like racial slurs, language I don't even understand, spoken on one side, you know, like guys getting at each other. 6 months later, they win the local league. Right? It took a lot of work. We had knives being shown at training, you know, like one of the kids was like,
Wow.
you know, and that's those kids, they, when I was telling you about the value of like work and how like for 1-2 hours kids come, they know they're gonna work. Well, that was their salvation. Like, and that was probably the only time in all my coaching career that I was like a hard ass coach. Like nothing. I didn't give them an inch of freedom. Like not an inch of freedom. It was all like any sort of slip of tongue, any sort of bad word, any sort of side look to another player, everybody runs. Everybody runs.
You had to be extreme, it sounds like.
It was like raising raising my 2 and 4 years old, I just have to make them run, or else they don't go to sleep, right? But it's the same thing with those kids. I had to make them run so that they wouldn't have the energy to like have negative feelings towards the other kids, you know. And yeah, after a while, they started gelling. They started playing, and yeah, they did very well. They did very well.
Wow.
So that was yeah, that was really two sort of big um, personal experiences in terms of how basketball has helped in many ways, you know.
Yeah, those definitely sound like two very powerful experiences and like big picture beyond, again, just playing
Oh yeah,
basketball.
yeah. And once again, the vehicle, always
Yeah,
the
exactly.
vehicle, you know.
Um, wow, that was we could sit and talk about both of those probably for 2 more hours, but we won't.
Oh, I've got plenty more too, but we'll keep that
Yeah,
for
another
offline.
time.
Yeah.
What did I say? I know you have lots of pieces of wisdom because I've seen you coaching and have talked to you before. But if
Thank
you
you.
could give one piece of advice or wisdom to young hoopers watching this, or something you would tell your younger self, is the way I like to think about it. Like if you could go talk to 10-year-old, 15-year-old Alex, what would you say?
Um, that's a good point. I didn't think of that question. Speaking to my younger self.
Mm. Well, because you've been through it, you've been through all these things and
No, that's
come
right.
out the
That's
other
right.
end and learned it.
Probably there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts, you know, and you can't you can't expect things to just happen. Uh, you mentioned it. The ball doesn't lie. I'm quoting the great Rashid Wallace here. The ball don't lie, right? Ball don't lie.
That simple.
That's
The
that's what I'm
game
saying
doesn't
to
lie.
players and parents. You know, you can back the coach, you can back your teammates, you can question everything, but ultimately the ball doesn't lie. So no shortcuts. You want to be honest, you want to be good, you got to put the work in. And work is not 1 hour with Alex on a Sunday. You know, it's not your 2 rep trainings. Work is on your own time, getting faster, getting stronger, being a better shooter, getting some mindset, getting the right mindset, you know. And that's the hardest part. And I know that's something like as a player I had to stop consciously stop doing. One coach told me that stop comparing yourself to other players. Not two players are the same. You bring a skill set, you bring your own skill set to a team, a particular skill set, whatever that is, but you bring it. And your job as a player, if you want to make a team, any team, but especially a high team, is to be one of the best at that skill set, right? You want to become invaluable. You're an awesome passer? Great. Make sure that everybody notices that. Make sure that the best scorers on the team, they cannot play without you because you bring them an extra 10 points a game.
Mm.
You know? You're an elite rebounder? Right. Show that to everyone, but work on it. Work on it. You know?
Right.
Don't
None of
compare
those things.
yourself to,
None of those things
oh
have
yeah,
a shortcut.
that's right. That's right. Like one of the things I see when I look at tryouts or even when I run tryouts, because we're entering trial season now and everybody's freaking out, you know. I see all those kids trying to be someone they're not because they want to show, oh yeah, I can do this and I can do that. Well, actually, no, you can't. You're only doing that because the guy who had the ball just before just did it. Focus on your strength. Work on your strengths, and then when you're training, work on the things you want, the kind of player you want to become too. You know, but
Mm. Do that work kind of in the dark.
that's right. That's right. Skill set. You know, everyone has a skill set. Everyone.
Mm.
And I guess
Isn't it
good
funny? Like
coaches.
after all that experience and all that wisdom, it always comes down to those simple things. Like there's no shortcuts. You got to work hard. Like
Work, you know, like
the game don't
it's
lie, and
valid.
it's actually kind of simple.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And you know, like talking about equipment before, you can have your like $200 Jordans and like be all geared up and all that. It does not matter. The
It's
ball
not going to
doesn't
make you
lie.
jump higher or run faster.
The ball doesn't lie. The ball
Oh,
doesn't
that's
lie.
true.
And real coaches, they see that. Real coaches, they see that straight away. They see that you yourself, you get into a gym, there's 50 kids, you get them to play pickup, you're gonna see straight away what's going on.
True.
Straight away.
Yeah. I feel like on top of that, those things don't lie. Like you can't hide behind, shoes or being loud or whatever. Like the real ones know. That's why you have to put in that time and work and energy.
That's right. I mean, you saw those kids on Sunday, right? You could pick up the ones who are like just they work,
Yeah.
They work. I mean, they all work, those kids.
Yeah,
the ones who wanted a little bit more, So my second piece of advice, and I had kept that for now, but we talked about it later, so I'm just going to make a small mention of it, is kids, stop watching just highlights. Watch the full game. And don't just watch the NBA.
Watch some MTB YouTube breakdowns of how basketball works.
This is like 20 times more valuable than watching highlights.
I'm
20 times. And I'm saying 20 times. It's undervaluing it. No,
I would say.
Can you say that again? Can you say that again, Coach?
Right. Can I tack on to that point? Not just don't watch highlights, like watch the whole game, but don't just be interested in, like what you said, what they're wearing off the bus and the flashy dunks and this and that. Be interested in how they work out and how they, like, be interested in how Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero, like you mentioned, they get up at like 4 a.m. every day, I'm pretty sure, and go train and take no days off. Like, start getting all interested in that,
Yeah,
that's how you get there.
That's right. It might not seem as interesting from like a little scrolling, 10 seconds scrolling point of view between your two classes, right? But it's actually what you want to focus on, because it's not the suit they're wearing that's going to make them get that $1 million, extra $1 million contract, right?
It's like the chicken and the egg. That's not how they got the contract to get the suit. They did all that other crap first. Y'all are focused on the wrong part.
Yeah, that's right. Just, like the EuroLeague is on at the moment. I always tell players, watch the EuroLeague, watch women's basketball, watch as much basketball as you can get, but watch full games. And identify what player without the ball are doing as well. It's easy to just look at LeBron when he's got the ball and he's driving, but look at what the other players are doing too.
Yeah, like really pay attention. I like that.
That's right. Hence the Warriors and the Spurs, or the Jazz even these days. Everyone is moving all the time.
I like that. Is there any other wisdoms or things you want to share?
Just don't bag other players. Don't bag other players.
That's a really good point.
Don't bag other players. Don't bag your teammates. Don't bag your teammates in front of me. Don't come to my training and tell me I'm better than him. I should have made the one. I'm not interested
that seems wild to me, but that does happen.
A lot. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested with that. Whatever, if it's a question of politics behind the scene, anything, it's out of your control. It's out of my control. Focus on what you can control. Bagging other players, bagging your coach, it's not going to help anyone, especially you.
Yeah, that's the big key. I like that.
Nothing positive could ever came out of talking trash about other players, especially behind their back.
That's a good point. And that is something that I'm sure in your experience too, but I've seen that a lot and had to try to work on not doing it myself, because I understand the urge.
That's it. I did it myself, and I'm speaking out of experience there. I had a season where I went from finishing games, different coach, wasn't starting, was getting like less than 10 minutes a game. No one understood why. I didn't understand why I wasn't getting much feedback. I wasn't getting much feedback. I started begging the coach, "Oh, that guy's trash. Doesn't play me." Didn't help me at all.
It didn't fix it.
No, didn't fix it at all. Didn't fix it at all. So that's
I like that.
That's how it is. It's part of the resilience process. You some days, some seasons they're gonna be great. Some others probably a bit less, and you've got to deal with it. You got to deal with it.
Yeah, and like you said, it doesn't. The biggest thing is it doesn't help you. Like talking
No.
shit about the coach and teammates doesn't get you on the court more. You just gotta
No.
work.
That's right. And you're gonna end up being that guy or that girl that nobody wants to play with, and
Just
nobody wants to
negative.
let you.
Just shit. Just don't
Exactly
do it.
right. Exactly right.
Write it in
Exactly
your
right.
journal,
Sure.
close the journal, and that's it.
That's it. Or even better, go and shoot.
Go work
Get
it
fun
out.
zone.
Go
Go
channel
and
it.
shoot. That's right. Go and
Great
shoot.
point.
Go and shoot.
Just go run a bunch of sprints until you're not mad anymore. That's what I do.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Exactly right.
That's all I got for you for this, unless you have anything else you wanted to share.
That's pretty awesome. I had my list of like 5 players and all that, but
Oh, do you
we can
want
keep
to
it.
give us your top 5 players really quick then?
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got time? You got battery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
power?
I don't have power. Go on.
Okay. It's a bit more than 5 because
You can't help yourself.
Yeah.
It's like a list of 50.
but I guess I've got yeah, no, it's a bit more than 5, but not too many, no.
It's hard.
First
It's a
one is
tough
Steph
question.
Curry. First one is Steph Curry. He single-handedly changed the way basketball is being played while remaining an extremely humble global superstar who uses his platform in probably one of the most meaningful way. The fact that he has daughters has put, the whole, a lot of he's not super like vocal on social media and all that, but most of his, I guess, interventions are linked to women's hoops and how, for instance, how Under Armour didn't have until now like a women's basketball section on their website and on their stores. He changed that. He changed that. He had the power to change that, Simple things, but those kind of inequalities are they're gonna be brought down by little things, little steps.
Right.
And he's also the best shooter ever. He's
Agreed.
exciting to watch. He's from all accounts a fantastic teammate, excellent role model for the kids.
It's a very solid first answer.
Oh yeah, very solid player, very
Yeah,
solid, and also
agreed.
adversity. The guy was like not heavily recruited.
He's a great
Told he was
story.
too small. Oh yeah, like not a top college. Good work ethic. A lot of injuries at the early stage of his career. Definitely not an overnight success, but he worked.
Yeah,
As someone who works. And also, we're not talking about a 6'8", 6'9", hyper physically dominating player, and there's a lot of those in my list. A lot of like
the next is Giannis and AD.
So I really respect that. The guy won like maybe two MVPs.
Two back to back, and the first ever.
Two back to back.
And the first ever unanimous MVP. Think of all the dudes who have won MVP before, and he was like the
incredible.
MVP of MVPs.
Yeah, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Steph Curry. Second one would be Tony Parker from like a purely French point of view.
I was going to say you're biased.
Oh yeah, totally biased. For what he did for the French, for French basketball. He really he put it on the world map from an international point of view. He never missed any appointment with the French national team, which is the same cannot be said for like NBA players, and especially NBA players of his caliber. And once again, he brought the floaters to the league. He brought the floaters to basketball. Before him, the teardrop, you really didn't see him. So he managed to give shorter players a way to dominate against the bigs, right?
Yeah, he was nice with that.
He couldn't shoot. Start of his career, he couldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot from outside the key. You know, when I watch him play in France, he's only slightly younger than me. When I watch him play in France as juniors, he just would go to the hoop at will. Nobody could stop him, so he never really had to shoot. A bit like AI, similar kind of profile, you know.
Yeah. Did he always have the floater?
Yeah, he always had that little teardrop. Yeah, always off 1 foot, off 2 feet, and just going to the hoop and finishing very acrobatically. You know, there's an excellent. You probably watch it. An excellent Netflix documentary about him.
Put that on the list.
It's worth watching. There's videos of him when he was at the French equivalent to the AIS, which is like the pinnacle of like basketball academies in France, where they just produce pros, you know. And you can see how at 16, 15 years old he was already Tony Parker already. So that was that was pretty. It's a pretty good watch if you get a chance to do that.
That's a good one.
The third one, sorry, you got Steve Nash, who
and all the little guy point guards.
All the point guards, because identification, right?
My list is the same. Those little people.
He just get that pass first mentality, and floor general, he brought it to a different level, and also an absolute workhorse. Dude lived in the gym.
Good role model in that sense.
Oh yeah, excellent shooting technique, good at finishing, excellent body control, but because he never really won anything, and his like final years were a little bit tainted by injuries, you know. When he moved to was it Lakers?
Might have been.
He finished that, but he
picture him in the Phoenix. That's all I can see.
Yeah. I think he had 1 or 2 years finishing his career with the Lakers, and that didn't work out. He was injured a lot, so that sort of tainted his legacy a little bit. But apart from that, he was legit.
Very like cerebral player as well, like just playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers kind of deal.
Oh yeah, one player ahead by and especially at an era where that wasn't really, you know, his profile wasn't really common. There's more players now who are exactly like him, but at that time there weren't too many, you know, so he was really defying the odds. I've got Boris Dio next.
Also biased, but
yes, in a different way.
Okay.
Because he's got a complete different outlook on the sport, you know, and on life in general. There's many very interesting anecdotes about his time in the NBA, and especially post retirement, where he just living his best life in a very I'm discovering the world kind of way. I really recommend following his Instagram. He's not super active, but he'll have like one post every 2 months, and it's him like being like super candid, you know, like a photo of a beach, and like, oh man, Barbados are incredible, fantastic people, or like a picture of him with Manu Ginobili. Oh, thanks Manu for having me in your home in Argentina. You know, like,
he's like a real positive guy. Sounds like.
Oh, he's my generation, so I followed him quite closely when he was playing in France, you know, and he's just, you know, he owns a bar in Bordeaux in France, and it's just a random little like like typical French bar. There's nothing fancy about it. It doesn't say that Boris Dio owns it. He loves food. He loves like great food. He loves great wine. When he moved to the Spurs, he gelled with Popovich straight away about the whole European food culture and all that.
I love
just
how he's like big picture, like other, not just basketball.
Oh yeah.
But all
Oh no.
human.
I love that. And the funny thing is, like, you can sort of link that to how he plays, because we're talking about someone who was like one of the top top European prospects of all time, right? 6'7" point guard. Once again, at a time when there was a rarity, like high flying, won a bunch of dunk contests in Europe, moved to the NBA, was instantly like sixth man of the year, almost improved quite early on. Moved to Phoenix, put on shit ton of weight, like got really, really big, really, really big. Moved to the Spurs, was still big, but played in a weird sort of point forward facilitator position that led to a title instantly. He was the missing piece, So
Yeah, I just remember him being really good there.
Yeah. 2016 Spurs were one of the best teams ever. They were just like absolutely amazing to watch. But also, we're talking about culture. You could see that those guys and the coach and the staff, they were all in it together, and they all loved each other.
They're very like egos aside. Let's go win.
Oh, completely. And you could see that someone like Boris Dio was like just the perfect fit.
Yeah, I can see that now when you describe all the other stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, of course.
That's right. When he got traded at the end of his career to Utah, he thanked everyone. He rang one of his mates who has a trucking company, those big American trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Went to his house, packed up all the stuff in a truck, and went with his mate in the truck from San Antonio, Texas to Utah, just for the experience.
What a
Just for the
unique guy.
experience. Like just someone with like once again using basketball as a way to expand his horizons and make good things, in the world.
Right.
So a lot of respect for him. And once again, someone who dedicated a lot of time to the French national team and the I guess the improvement of basketball in France. So I cannot disregard that.
Yeah, very cool. So we got Boris Dio, Tony Parker, Steve Nash, Steph Curry.
Yeah, we're not a very tall team right now, but that's okay.
It's your favorite players. It's not.
That's right.
It's not the five you would pick to beat the world.
Hey, we play fast and we have a lot of assists.
That's true.
I've got Patty Mills on my list.
Also fitting in with that.
Another member of the 2000. That's right. Another member of the 2016 Spurs, but also someone who like uses his platform in such a meaningful way, and someone who's been at the pinnacle of sports, at the pinnacle of sports, who never refused to play for his country, who always make a point, like somebody super accessible. So before Rio 2016, I was training for I was coaching for one of the local schools in the Albert Park area, Albert Park College, and we had our trainings at MSAC at like 7 a.m. And I was in charge of the girls program, the year 7, little girls, 7 a.m. in winter. It's freezing cold at MSAC. I got like 12 girls with me, and just before Rio, the boomers were training and the oppos were training at MSAC in the show courts. But every morning I started seeing those guys coming into the far court, the lights were off, and just shooting with a trainer or with someone else. One was doing girls. None of the girls knew him. But then there was a little short guy with like his partner shooting and doing like just some form shooting for like half an hour, 45 minutes. So I noticed that, So I told the girls, like, look, that guy is really working on his shot. He hasn't even run yet. Every shot he's taken has been inside the key, and he's doing it perfectly well. And then he took his hood off, and that's Patty Mills. So I told the girls, I'm like, hey, this is Patty Mills. Oh, wow. And one of the girls was like, can we take a photo? I'm like, go and ask him. She's like, oh, I can't. I'm like, just finish. We'll let him finish his training on the way out. You can ask him. He comes by. The girl goes, and not a single second of hesitation. He dropped his bag. Oh yeah, of course. Do you want to bring your friends? 12 girls. And like we're talking about a
That's a
guy
long
who,
way.
you know what I mean? He's just like, he probably has like a 30-minute window between his shooting practice and his team practice. He's with his partner. They're probably gonna go to the canteen and get a little something to eat. Took like 2 minutes to talk to the girls, talk to me, gave every single girl a high five. Hey, watch the Olympics, okay? You see me, blah blah blah. Keep working hard, like all those things that, and all those girls,
Wow.
they're gonna have that in their heads for the rest of their life,
Yeah, for sure.
So he made my list just based on that.
That's a
Regardless
very
of the fact,
good way to make the list.
And on top of that, he's one of the best FIBA players. It's undeniable.
He is so freaking good. On top of him being great and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like watching that last Olympics, especially, like he's been good. He was great at San Antonio and everything. I'm sure he'll be great at Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
This week.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
That Olympics,
he's just dominated. Extreme fundamentals. Perfect shot. Love him. And I haven't even mentioned his like fight for equality for the Aboriginal people and the Black population in general from a global point of view, and the charity set up and all the millions of dollars he's giving to those charities. It's just an awesome person who happens to be an extremely gifted basketball player who works super hard on his craft. So what's not to like? What is not to like?
That's that big picture stuff. Your top five is just like the greatest workers and humans and past point guards you could ever put together.
That's right. we'll have a lot of assists on that team.
It would be an interesting game style, but the work off the court that would be done would be unreal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Those guys, they can run a school,
Yeah, legit something.
They can open a school. And I've got a couple more, and I'm gonna go quickly over that. Damian Lillard, same thing. Dude is a super mega star, humble, and
we were talking about that the other day.
Everything he says is right on point. Everything, right on point. Manu Ginobili, and Ricky Rubio. I put them on the same thing. Why? Because the guys who always play with a massive smile on their face. They've got a culture of like, man, it's a game, and I'm being paid millions of dollars to play it. I'm just gonna go out there and just have the time of my life. Love that.
Yeah,
love that.
That's a good one.
And I've got one wild card. It's that, and I can never remember her name, so apologies if you ever get to watch this. But that's the the starting point guard for the women's Japanese national team.
Oh, the cheetah. Is that right?
Yes. She just blew me away.
Yeah.
Blew me away.
Absolutely fair.
It blew me away. I didn't know what Japanese basketball was. I remember watching some Asian Cup a couple of years ago, and the men's were not great. She was actually the third string point guard a couple of years ago, and now she's like a global superstar. Really, she's incredible. And once again, somebody, and I love that, and that's something I always tell the kids: you can dominate a game, you can dominate a tournament, you can be noticed by elite coaches by only scoring 2 points.
She was the epitome of that in the Olympics. Like just destroying people, but like not even looking at the rim to score.
Just controlling everything, controlling the tempo of a team. Hey, we're going to play slow. We're going to play fast. We're going to play slow again. We're going to play fast. We're going to accelerate now. Here's an assist. Here's another assist.
Here's 10 more assists.
Yeah, that's right.
It's crazy.
While playing against the best team in the world, and nobody could stop her doing her
having
thing.
That smile on her face the whole time too. She was one of those.
She loves it. She loves it.
You just feel it.
I think. I forgot to mention that I played. I went to Japan twice, and I played pickup over there. And I think I'm gonna start exploring those connections and maybe go over there and see what basketball is From a junior point of view. I'm quite curious. I'm actually training a very young Japanese kid who is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. He's going to be really good. So I'm going to try to get us to go there and do some camps.
Hell yeah. I'll get actually one of my friends, I met her here because she was playing here, but she is from Japan. I think she's back there now. I've seen her working out, like she's worked out with Machida. Like I've seen her on her stories and stuff, and
for real?
Training here at MSAC and everything. So maybe she can be that link connection for us, and we'll get over there.
Oh yeah.
I got you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're coming, Japan. We're coming.
Exactly. All right. Is there any more players you wanted to add?
Probably about 30 more, but I might leave it at that. And also, man, I had this conversation online with some guy I didn't really know who was backing the WNBA, and we talked about that before. And I hate getting into online arguments. I don't have time for that. But sometimes some things are being said that just make my blood boil, and I just find it hard to like pass an opportunity to like fight ignorance. I have to get better at this because it's not something that it's probably not healthy, you know.
You don't want to spend like an hour diving into the comments with a stranger, but happens to the best of us, I guess.
You know, I just want some people to understand that they don't realize the level of pro women basketball. They don't realize it, and have no idea how anyone on that court in Game 4, any single player would absolutely kick their ass if they were playing one-on-one. They have no idea. Those people have no idea. And the fact that they're mentioning the entertainment value of not being high enough for them says a lot about their understanding of basketball. You know, it's not entertaining. There's no dunks. There's no dunks. I want to see guys doing.
There was a finals dunk. There was a dunk.
There was.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of WNBA players who I think will make that list too, you know. And that young college player that you put me on, who made that incredible speech when she received the award.
Paige Beckers, the one at UConn.
You know, like she's gonna crack
who's
that
gonna
list.
Kick your ass. She will kick everyone's ass.
Oh yeah, she's gonna crack that list. You know, she's gonna crack that list. So when she's gonna make it pro, she's gonna be like, you know, like one of those players who nothing was handed to her. She worked for it, and she doesn't have that entitled, oh, I'm a pro athlete, I'm the best kind of thing, you know. She's got that broader vision of life, you know. You can see that.
She would make your team, I think. She's a great passer.
Oh, yeah.
Got that big picture, kind of loves hooping. She'd definitely make
your team. Steph is going to retire very soon, right? There's going to be some spots there.
Yeah. Next time I'll ask you, it'll be your top 5 women's or top 5 WNBA. That'll be next time.
That's a very good point. Even top 5 like women's basketball in general, because I've got a lot of love for the Spanish and the French, as you know.
It's true. I already know some of the French players that will be on it.
Oh yeah. I'll put you onto them. Yeah. That's good.
It's growing.
Basketball is looking good. Not only in France but globally as well. And I'm gonna have to do the same thing but inverted. I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions. Okay? You okay to do that one time?
Yeah.
You can put it on your stuff. You know, or I can do
a whole bunch of these.
But I'll be keen to be the interviewer because I'm all about the dialogue, and I find it a bit strange just be the one answering questions, you know?
That's why I forced you to do it.
I want to pick your brain, girl.
Yeah, that's all we do. That's why I say, I was trying to think maybe we can make this like 30, 40 minutes, and I think we've been on here for an hour and a half, but that's just that's how it is when we sit and talk about basketball.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And thanks
Good
for
job.
talking about you and doing it. We'll
No,
probably do a whole bunch more of these where we talk about more different stuff and just like more specific stuff. But I did just want to do one about you for your kiddos and for just talking MTB sake.
thanks. It's really it's again, I use that word a lot, but I mean it's very humbling, very humbling.
Cool. Well, let's end it before we accidentally talk for another hour about basketball and all this shit.
Yeah, I've got some sessions
Yeah,
soon.
same.
I'm gonna have to get on call.
Yeah, I'll probably see you over there. I'll see you later.
Well, yeah, I'll be there from like 1:30, 12:30 to like 5. So you'll see me.
Yeah, I literally might see you later. So
you'll see me.
talk to you soon.
You take
Thanks,
it easy,
man.
all right? Hey.
Later.
Bye-bye. Thanks again.